Hello, and welcome to the Simply Business Interview Podcast, a podcast created by business owners for business owners. I am your host, John Jennings. And I believe that most business owners are working way too hard for much too little. And one of our issues is that we overcomplexify things. I believe the answers are almost always within us or within our reach. I like to say that I'm a simple man with simple ideas. So welcome to Simply Business. Today, we are joined by Clay Smith. Clay is a real estate investor and business owner and entrepreneur. Looking forward to hearing more about his story. He's got his hands in a lot of things. So let's just start. Clay, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, John, for having me on the show here. I am first and foremost a real estate investor. Started back in 2003 doing real estate investing. And in 2017, after building up a portfolio of 25 properties or so, and after I did a lot of flips as well, and in 2017, decided to start some businesses. So we started a property management company. And from that, we grew into contracting company division that came off of there, excavation, roofing, and a lot more. We just built a lot of businesses around it, and I still continue to real estate invest. But as of today, I'm the owner of LREI Property Management, management company of about 1,400 units here in Louisville, Kentucky, and the surrounding area. And then Reliabuilt Contracting, which is like licensed electricians, plumbers, excavation company, roofing, windows, kind of a full service remodeling company, about 35 houses per month remodeling. And then I also own a real estate investment company where we buy about 5 to 10 houses a month. We have a portfolio of just shy of 200 properties right now, and we started that back in April of 22. And we work a lot with, immigrants and refugees, placing them in homes, and we try to work a lot with affordable housing programs as well for our real estate investing endeavors.
Wow. There's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part? I mean, so most people I'm interviewing, they started a business, 5 years ago or 5 months ago or whatever, and it's their business. And, you've kind of evolved for 20 plus years from just starting to invest in real estate to now having a couple of businesses, all real estate related, but even your contracting business, you're not the plumber or the electrician. It sounds like you're doing a little bit of everything. So what's your favorite part about having all these different things under your umbrella?
Oh, well, so I like business strategy and new things. And so I don't like I love process design and development as well. I mean, I get something out of it, but I'm not a very good employee. If somebody was to hire me, doing the day in, day out task work, those important people that work for you that can actually sit down and do tasks repetitively is something I'm not equipped to handle. So I really appreciate people like that. But so I like, and what I get out of all the companies that we've got is just the new and exciting things and the challenges that come up every day. It's just a constant game to me of trying to solve problems. And so that's what I enjoy.
Yeah. So you fall into that kind of almost serial entrepreneur kind of role. It's like, I want to start something, get it going.
Yeah.
And then do you kind of step away from it, let other people run it and move to the next thing? Is that typically what you're
I
doing?
do. Fortunately, I'm married and my wife
Wait a minute,
holds the
let's
glue together.
let me interrupt you. Don't say unfortunately I'm married. That's
No, I
that.
said fortunately I'm married.
Oh,
Fortunately I'm married.
fortunately.
It's not
Okay.
unfortunate. No, no. I am fortunately married to a wonderful woman, and she runs the operations for us. And
Okay.
so she knows I create things and then run away right from them. And so she holds it all together. And she's
Uh,
really the operations manager for all of our companies. And I'm
okay.
more of that project management, process designs, IT, and support on the backside for her. So more of a
Okay.
supportive leadership role for me, but she's the one in charge.
Okay. So I should be interviewing her instead. No, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you wanted to know anything about the business and how it runs, yes. Yeah.
Well, I love talking to visionaries too, and it's funny how people are wired different ways. And yeah, I wasn't necessarily the best employee either. That's the reason I do what I do. I mean, I'm pretty good leader, but I like to buck the system a little too much at times. Um, so what's right now? What's your favorite of these things? What's your favorite thing that you're working on?
I've always loved real estate investing. So I always enjoy going to the auction house and buying properties, bidding on them.
Mm,
We renovate them and put tenants in them. And then that's the close of the project for me. It's handed off to a property management company. I deal a lot on that side of the businesses, just our investment portfolios. I get a lot of joy out of trying to find the next property to buy at the right price.
mm,
And uh, my day starts every morning at 6 a.m. We have a company meeting for the real estate investments that lasts about 1 to 2 hours, and we go over all things for the real estate investment company and forward those projects and keep them moving. And that's really where I like to focus the most because it's the newness. And then my wife handles all the operations, so I don't get involved there as much, and I don't enjoy it as much.
yeah, yeah. So you don't want to deal with the day to day. I
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah. Uh,
I don't mind it. I'm just not as good at it.
yeah.
And I play to my strengths and she plays to hers, and as a team, it works really well for us.
Yeah. So you obviously started this pretty young. What made you want to go this route at that point in your life?
So I was into entrepreneurship age 7. I went to 4-H camp, and I learned that I could sell candy bars and make a bunch of money. It's day one. So I and from that I started, going to Costco and Sam's Club and buying candy bars and selling them at school and making lots of money. And I just loved it, because I was always kind of the child growing up that didn't have money in a neighborhood that we lived in was a nice neighborhood. So my mom bought a house in a pretty good neighborhood, but we were always the ones without much money in that neighborhood. So just being an entrepreneur gave me that sense of equality, I think, as a child, to where I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was adding value and I had some business sense, and I really got into that. And then,
Hmm.
eventually at age 13, picked up a paper route really early. My mom let me do it. I pushed her pretty hard. Me and a friend did.
Yeah.
And we started making lots of money, and we'd go to Hardee's every morning and eat biscuits and gravy. And it was just like this great feeling of, hey, we own this business. It's ours. And since
Yeah.
then, entrepreneurship's just kind of been ingrained with me from a young age, I think.
Yeah. Awesome. I grew up uh, early childhood in a newspaper family, so I did paper routes but never got paid for them.
Oh, wow, yeah, yeah, no. I went back to
Small.
him in 2008. I lost my job when the economy was pretty bad. I actually went back and worked multiple paper routes in the morning, plus my regular day job, to make up for the income I lost from my good job I had. So
Yeah.
I keep returning to it sometimes. When all else fails, you can get in there, pull your sleeves up, and get to work.
Yeah. So you're the classic side hustle guy, but your side hustles have grown
Yeah.
to tremendous proportions. Um,
Yep.
so how big's your team? I guess you got the contractor side, you got the real estate, property
I
management side.
Yeah, overall, our team's a little over 40 people now, if we
Okay.
count all of our virtual assistants, because we have 7 to 10 people in the virtual space
Hmm.
for different aspects of different companies, from accounting to operations.
Sure.
And here locally, a little bit over, I want to say somewhere north, 32 or so full-time employees that are here.
Yeah.
Um, we may be actually pushing 50 if I went and looked at it.
Which that's funny because back to you're not the operations guy. You're
Yeah.
th- 30, 50. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, it's,
I do need to
it's,
count it. I've been asked that several times, and I fumble every time I get asked now. So I
well, that
do
just
need to sit down and
shows
look.
uh, you're very much that entrepreneurial mind, visionary, but you're letting other people do that. So I'd love to kind of go down that route a little bit because many of my clients have started businesses and then just struggle to get out of the weeds. They struggle to let go, and
Yeah.
it's we call it the founder's trap is our technical term for it, but you just can't seem to let go. You don't seem to have any trouble with that. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think I might have a really meticulous approach now. So I got a business partner in 2022 when I started real estate investing heavily.
Mm,
And he brought to the relationship a lot of just, I know what I'm doing and this is how you do it approach. I mean, just he had run some companies for and built them from the ground up and had a just really good grasp on process
mhm,
design and standing things up. And we got into a point where we would get these long-winded discussions about the littlest things on a decision. And it felt like it was going really slow, but I
yeah.
noticed after a while, I never had to go back to that process again. And we both really understood how the process worked. And so
Hmm.
after some time, just doing that day in, day out, like I said, from 6 to 8 in the morning, we developed processes and built them and furthered them and did the little things. It got to the point where we could train other people and it was a very clear vision.
Hmm.
And I started bringing that into my company more and more and having more and more on the operations side, having more meetings with employees one on one. And the one on ones changed from like, what are your goals? What do you want to do in life? To more working sessions with the work that they do every day and how we can improve it and cut down the administrative burden and how I can go out to other areas and get some information and bring it into this process to help you reduce what you're having to do. And by doing that and over time, we freed up a lot more and simplified our processes so that I just feel like things are a little easier now and there's a lot less
Hmm.
cognitive thought that has to go into process and I don't have to be as involved. And reporting helps with that a lot too. Having KPIs and a dashboard and knowing where to
Yeah.
go look and get that measurement. And that didn't come overnight. That was, oh wow, that was
Yeah.
several
That's
years to get there.
yeah.
There was no magic.
So I love talking KPIs. So that's,
Yeah.
what are your key drivers, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I'm going back to you asked me how many employees we got. So one of the KPIs that would be important to me is how many employees do I have to how many doors do we manage? Like
Mm,
it is a pretty important KPI for profitability. But I'm not been measuring them at that higher level. What I've been focused on KPIs right now are more operational KPIs, watch the pennies and it'll take care of the dollars. So
yeah.
it's more of keeping our eyes on aging, making, every process we build now, I'm thinking about how do I get it so simple it's on one page, it's sorted in the order from priority from work this now to later. And then, so where do I focus at the line level? Where do they focus? And what timeline, how much time does each step or milestone in the process take before I have to come back to it? And then how do I grab all of that into a dashboard that shows me when somebody hasn't done what they're supposed to do for 2, 3 days and I need to get involved? So knowing when to escalate, getting away from alert fatigue with all the emails to the mailbox and getting more
Hmm.
to actionable reports and routines of where I say I don't like repetitive, but I do have click this link, go here, look at this thing, and if it looks wrong, have a talk with somebody. But
Yeah.
it's like summed up my whole day. I don't have to dig in. I really know very fast what's going on. So
Yeah.
operational metrics is where I'm at right now, more than financial.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's cool. So does like everybody in your organization kind of have a key number? Does everybody kind of know what they need to be doing?
I think it gets better every day.
Yeah.
We've done some large, and we didn't have that transparency, and we had to invest in some IT, some outside help and
Hmm.
bring in more of that real-time reporting, and that's been a real change for us, for where management's been able to step back now, and we're actually able to manage instead of, jumping in to put a fire out.
Yeah.
So, that's part of that trap you were talking about, getting out of there, was having
Yeah.
some of those technical capabilities needed to be there for us to develop past it.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you got this visionary mindset. You said you're not into the, but you do have your finger on the pulse of it. You're just not living in it, and that's actually a powerful message and something that I think a lot of business owners struggle with, especially a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What's that right amount of, like I said, having the finger on it? What's that right amount that you need to have? Um, was that just trial and error to get to that point, to get to that right spot?
No, I didn't mention, but for 10 years, I was in, well, over 20 years, sorry, I was in data management and reporting. I have a master's in business administration with a focus in in information technology.
Okay,
And so I worked on a data reporting team for healthcare companies for 20 years, managing people who built reports.
got it.
Uh, so a lot of that skill set comes to here on how to organize data, leverage technology, and put it in a way that we can kind of monitor what's happening in the company. So
Yeah,
that's where I
that's
was able
awesome.
to
Yeah.
contribute.
Yeah, so yeah, I have a pretty similar past. We can when
Okay.
offline we can talk some more about that. Yeah, I've been into data warehousing and data, all that past, and I find a lot of people that come from, it's weird. You don't think of corporate IT people as entrepreneurial, and most aren't. But I've seen several very effective, entrepreneurs who have left that space and taken that KPI, that data mindset, and then but applying it with an entrepreneurial flair. So it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and I found those to be the people that are not overly analytical that are in that space.
Yeah,
The people that are in that
yeah,
space seem to do
yeah.
really
That's the reason
well
I
in
couldn't stay
transitioning.
there. I Well, we'll talk about me later. We won't waste people's time with that. But um, so what's been the biggest surprise? I love that. I just learned that about you coming in. So you've left corporate IT. Now you're in this entrepreneurial space. What's been the biggest surprise? One or two that just stick with you?
Hmm. I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of surprises, not all of them good. I think the biggest surprise to me was how heavily you can invest and have explosive growth and not have profit. Like
Mm,
that is eye-opening to me that during that growth phase, you might be putting money in the company
yeah,
and it's mind-blowing for you, but you're constantly, as you expand, having to create new and more processes, more robust, buy more equipment, and it really takes you to this. You turn around, you've got a massive $1 million revenue company, and then you look at how much you're living on, and
yeah,
you might be paying your best employee more than you're making,
yes,
and you look at that and you go, "Wow," when does that turn? And then you and the surprise for me is I feel like a lot of people that work in those companies are looking at you like the owner, like, "Wow, this guy must have a lot of money." I see these things around, and while you walk in and everything's, really awesome to see, you realize that businesses exist to make a profit. And at some point, you have to make a conscious effort to be laser focused on the finances. And you
mhm,
cannot take your hands off the finances. And you have to focus on pretty micro level decisions when it comes to purchasing
mhm,
anything in the company because people will inherently choose the easiest path over the most cost effective path no matter
yeah,
what. It's just how humans are. And
yeah,
they're gonna solve the problem with money before they solve it with the most cost efficient method. And so you've
yeah,
really got to stay involved at that level on the finances. You got to look
yeah,
at your bank account every morning and look at every transaction that came out. It is That's the biggest surprise to me that because I just thought it would just generate money.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I've had several guests recently talk about the need to really watch profits, pay yourself first, and those sorts of things. That was one of the advice someone gave recently. That to make sure that you're taking your share out, because if you're running a business and you say it's profitable, but yet you're not making any money,
Yes.
it's really not unless you're also making money as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the more you put in the operating account, the more they'll use. It won't just put you in a better funded position. They'll just use more of the money, or it will sit in a dead space longer. Like,
yeah,
keep your company. broke. You know,
Yeah.
keep your company as underfunded as you can,
Yeah.
because if there's money there, it will be lent out to people, or you will pay bills sooner. You will make decisions that just the cost of that money,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah. I
money.
think the learning there to share is that as you grow, you're going to have to spend,
Yes,
and that pacing of that is tricky. And
yes,
we always sometimes say, you get out over your skis, you invested, too much too fast, and then sometimes you get in trouble that way. Other times, and I've been guilty of this, you're afraid to invest in that next technology or that next piece of equipment or that next employee. And then suddenly you realize, man, I'm wasting a lot of time, because if I
right,
had a person doing this, so we're always looking at, the cost of you're doing business. What's your hourly rate, and what could that, are you as the owner maximizing your time?
right.
That's really a good, powerful lesson. You mentioned there were some bad times. You got any specific pain that you're proud of overcoming that you would like to share?
I've learned things that are more industry specific pains.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that, things that pertain to other people that might be watching outside of the industries is, don't rely on governments, like,
Mm.
when it comes to anything financial. So, specifically like the employer tax credits and things like that, getting reimbursed or paid when COVID hits. I mean, they'll put together programs, but how that money's going to come to you in a timely manner is not there. So really, you've got to have a plan or some access to some capital.
Yeah.
I will say that, one of the things I learned, that probably don't make decisions on, I would say a lot of people say don't have a business partner, right? I've heard people say business partners are bad. Now you got to make decisions. You're with them. But if you get a good partner, there's an accountability factor there,
Yeah.
almost like a gym partner. So you go to the gym and you work out with someone, they're waiting for you to get there. And so if
Yeah.
you have a good partner that's in a business with you, they're on the meeting at 6 a.m. waiting for you to clock in. You have to get up and go because somebody's waiting there for you. You don't want to disappoint them or let them down. So I think having an accountability partner is really good. And I'm saying that because you asked me, that's the inverse of not having a partner, right? So that's what
Yeah.
I learned not
Yeah.
to do, is don't, when things are going to get big and really, really big, it doesn't have to be an equity partner, but you have to have somebody there to
Yeah.
be accountable for on a reoccurring meeting. Set the 6 a.m. meeting, dedicate yourself to never miss it.
Yeah.
Even on vacation, I log into that meeting because it's like going to the gym. I don't want to miss a beat. It might not be as long, but don't miss it.
Yeah. That's some good wisdom there, because uh, it's that lonely at the top thing. If you're a solo business owner, especially as like I said, as you get bigger, and I think something you kind of hit on, and I've seen this many times, is make sure your business partners complement you, not accentuate you, if you
Yeah,
know what I mean. Like
yes,
if they're just a clone of you, then all you're going to do is get in a meeting and agree with each other and never
yeah,
challenge each other.
yes, yes,
And so it's good to have that business owner that's a little different, maybe a little more conservative, maybe a little more finance, maybe a little whatever it might be. So that they'll go, "Are you sure about that?" Or, "I'm not sure if we
yeah.
should do that." Yeah.
He's great. I create fires. I create new process blaze ahead. My wife's the glue that holds the operations together, and he is literally Scrooge. I like
Uh,
financially, no penny is falling out that,
yeah.
back out of the operation. And all of those traits work together really well for us, to
Yeah.
create, an environment for success. But yeah, time blocking and setting that time on your calendar and dedicating to those meetings with those people, and talking to them face to face, not emailing back and forth, is
Yeah.
is real value add.
Yeah. Well, Clay, this has been really interesting. Really glad that we got introduced to do this. You've brought really some great pearls of wisdom to people, no matter what kind of business they're in, and not just real estate. Just some good practical advice from from KPIs to how to let go of certain things to good business partner. A lot of good stuff. If folks want to meet you, maybe they're interested in the real estate game, whatever, how's the best way to contact you?
Sure. I think my phone number's on here. Uh, so they can,
502-807-2532.
yep,
That might
yep.
get edited out in the podcast part. So
Oh, you can keep it or not. You can call me, catch me on LinkedIn, Facebook, any of the social media platforms. Reach out to me, or if you have my number and it's there, give me a call. But if you're in the real estate industry, I'm a member of the Kentuckiana Real Estate Investor Association, so I'll be at those meetings. Stop
yeah,
by,
sure.
say hi.
I've actually been to one of those. Been a while back. Somebody invited me to go along with them to it. Korea, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Cool.
group of local people, especially just getting started out. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for your time today, and look forward to hearing more about the success of all your businesses as you move forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked it, please share or like it on whatever platform you use. You can find me on social media. On most platforms, I'm John K. Jennings. My first book is also available. Your Baby is Ugly tells you about 10 truths that business owners need to hear, but often won't, and how to overcome them. You can find it on Amazon. Just search for Your Baby is Ugly. And be watching for our next episode, where I'll interview another business owner who will share their stories and insights into what it's like to create a great business.